This special Planetex Nibiru report originates from the following website, somethingblue.hubpages.com, and is titled Planetex Nibiru Denial. Although the evidence is overwhelming, many humans remain in denial to the presence of Planetex or Nibiru in our solar system, causing all the seismic activity and extreme weather. In this article, Planetex Nibiru Denial, I will explain how and why so many are suffering from cognitive dissonance and in denial to Planetex Nibiru's existence, and why the cover-up is so complete. The US government has known of Nibiru Planetex's return since at least the early 1800s, and quite possibly from the very beginning of this country. Began looking for it in earnest in 1894 with the building of the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, AZ, by the wealthy Percival Lowell in Capitol Building in Washington, D.C. There is a frieze depicting Cortes conquering of the Mayan Empire. The infamous Mayan calendar is prominently displayed in the background, which ends in 2012. Does anyone really think this is just a coincidence? Ancient Sumerians, the Mayans, the Native American cultures and the Illuminati have known about Nibiru Planetex and its eventual return for hundreds of years. Since the Sumerians and Mayan cultures no longer exist, censoring this information was child's play. For an organization based on secrecy, for the Illuminati, which had a direct hand in the making of this country for one purpose and one purpose only, world domination, rubbing the Native Americans and their history out was also child's play. Keeping the presence of Nibiru Planetex a secret from a society that gets dumber and more brainwashed from one generation to the next is also child's play. Look at the recent revelations that thousands of Americans thought the Titanic was just a movie. Most Americans don't even realize that the richest men in America, all opposed to the Federal Reserve System, were on board the Titanic when it sunk and were kept from boarding the lifeboats at gunpoint. Hence the term women and children first. Look at how many Americans are unaware of the true reason for global warming and are ready to accept that pollution is the real reason. It is beyond absurd. The changing climate all over the world is due to the Earth's wobble caused by Nibiru Planetex. Look at all the Americans willing to accept the government's version of 9/11. Commercial airliners are incapable of flying at 527 miles an hour below 30,000 feet. Physically impossible. The list of misconceptions based on lies, disinformation, and outright deceit is too numerous to name here. But suffice to say, the American people have been deceived on the whereabouts of Nibiru Planetex for generations. Many Americans are simply uninformed on the many wonders of the ancient world and the many secret knowledges they hold for humanity. Is it truly any wonder that most people have never heard of Planet X or Nibiru? Not in the slightest. Most people get their information directly from the TV. The recent National Law 2003 passed by the US Supreme Court stating that TV news stations were not required to tell the public the truth, that TV news stations can make up the news any way they see fit. Not one TV news station in America covered this story. Do you really think this is a coincidence? The New York Times and Washington Post covered the discovery of another planetary body, Planet X Nibiru, in deep space and coming our way back in 1984, and yet we have heard nothing of it since. Do you think it simply disappeared? Of course not. Nibiru Planet X returned to our solar system in 2003. This information has been kept from not only the American public, but the public worldwide since then. Many astronomers have attempted to warn us of this and have simply disappeared or met with untimely deaths. The two famous are Al Ray Sandage and Brian G. Marsden, who both contracted a rare cancer, acute encephalitis, thousands of miles apart, and died within days of each other. Dr. Robert Harrington, the chief astronomer of the US Navy Observatory, contracted esophageal cancer within days of a planned news conference to announce the discovery of Nibiru Planet X in 1993. Does anyone really believe you can get cancer and die within days of announcing the greatest discovery to mankind? The biggest single factor that the powers that be are counting on to keep the Planet X Nibiru cover-up complete and intact is contempt prior to investigation. This has been conditioned into the masses through television and has kept many humans mired in ignorance for generations. The most natural form of dealing with information that is contrary to your current paradigm is denial, which in its emotional state translates into anger. Social psychologists call this phenomenon cognitive dissonance, and it is quite effective. It is most often seen in humans that suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. This disorder wasn't even recognized for decades and was scoffed at, ridiculed, and openly laughed at for decades. Of course, so was washing your hands before surgery, before one lone doctor, Snaz Philip Snizewise, revealed his study on how diseases were transmitted. I wrote this article in large part because of the sheer volume of ignorance on the subject I ran into on a daily basis, and from comments from supposedly reasonable informed people on my Hub article. For instance, the X in Planet X refers to the Roman numeral X, or 10 for the 10th planet, a common misconception as most people believe it represents the unknown quantity in an algebra equation. For instance, the comet N.A.S.A, which was in the news for some time until NASA convinced the public that it broke up as it neared the Sun, was really just a warning to those in the know that Nibiru Planet X was back and to prepare. N.A.S.A is an anachronism for extinction level events. Nibiru is near. If you are waiting for the governments to inform you that Nibiru Planet X is back, they already have many times, but because most people are more concerned with who the next American Idol will be, they quite literally have missed it. Again, how do you prepare 7 billion people for a cataclysmic event that will kill most of them? You don't. Ignorance is bliss. However, there is a group of people that do pretend to believe in Nibiru Planet X and even will agree with you on most of the information, but use this tactic to spread disinformation. This is a favourite tactic of those in the service to self when confronted with the truth, and help to ensure that the public remains divided. They are the clever trolls that use insults while praising you, agree with you while pointing out flaws in your story, and sow seeds of fear and discontent when they are sure no one is watching. They will say, of course, Nibiru or Planet X exists, but it is still a long way off and clearly not a threat, as it will not even crash into the planet, so how could it possibly do any harm? I have never claimed it will crash into the planet, and have always maintained that it is already here. I stand by both assertions and only ask that those that read my articles keep an open mind. Planet X Nibiru denial is just another attempt at helping folks to open their minds to this subject and to allow others to discover the deception that is all around us. Remember, it is the function of our governments or your governments to do what is best for the majority. This special Planet X Nibiru report originates from the following. Activity and extreme weather. In this article, Planet X Nibiru Denial, I will explain how and why so many are suffering from cognitive dissonance and in denial to Planet X Nibiru's existence, and why the cover-up is so complete. Website somethingblue.pages.com, and is titled Planet X Nibiru Denial. Although the evidence is overwhelming, many humans remain in denial to the presence of Planet X or Nibiru in our solar system, causing all the seismic